In this video, I'll show you how I upgraded the infotainment system of this car to a new one that has CarPlay and Android Auto. We got this car just a few weeks ago, but one thing I knew I was definitely going to change was the infotainment system. The one that came with the car had a slow interface, the maps were very sluggish, took a long time to start, and just a bunch of things that were inconvenient. So despite having a screen like this, my wife and I have been using our phones for maps. There are a lot of aftermarket infotainment systems for different cars, and after my research online, I found this one on Audiovolt. There are different variations, some with less memory, some with DAB, but this was the sweet spot for me. Now this is the first time I'm ever breaking a car apart, so I first considered having a car expert to do it. But when I had the prices, I decided to do it myself with the help of a lot of videos online. Amongst many videos I watched, this one helped me for a big part of the setup. There were some other parts I had to figure out myself, but anyways, let's get into it. So here is the system. It has a couple of parts. There is the infotainment system itself. There is also the frame for the system. There are some screws which would use to attach the system to the frame, a bunch of cables which, to be honest, I don't know what they all meant, and a couple of splitters for the panels. Well, the first step is to remove the existing system from the car, and from the videos I watched, you start from here because it's apparently the easiest to remove. When I pulled it out, I disconnected the cable, and now I have some space where I can grab the frame for easy pulling. Then I tried to remove the panels by using these splitters. Sometimes it almost feels like you're breaking the plastics, but you want to be careful and at the same time use a bit of power to disconnect the connectors behind the plastics. By removing the airflow controls, we have access to the screws holding the infotainment system in the car, so we can lose that as well. With the screws now removed, we can use the splitter again to remove the panels holding the system. Again, you want to be careful, but at the same time apply some power. Anyways, the system is out and now you can see all the cables. I got overwhelmed by this and was scared that I might forget where a particular cable goes. So while disconnecting things, I took pictures of the existing connections so I can apply that to the new system. This apparently is the power cable or power cables, so I took note of that for when I was ready to do a quick test of the system. And here we have this. I've disconnected all the cables and taken note of what car cable went to the system cable. So it's time for the new system, and here is a preview of how the system fits into the area of my car. First, we're going to attach the infotainment system to the frame using the small set of screws that came with the package. And now it's time for the cables. There were some cables that were very obvious. I knew where this cable was going, and there were other cables that weren't so obvious. For example, this blue box of cables is pretty obvious as there is an existing blue box in the car. There is also the power cable, which is also pretty obvious where it goes to, so I plugged it in and started the car to test that the system comes on. Okay, that's looking good so far. Then I started adding other connections based on the pictures that I took. I took this antenna cable, which is supposed to go in here, the ANT section, but I discovered that it was a bit loose when I plugged it in. I quickly turned on the car to test the radio, and that worked fine. For the microphone cable in the car, it's supposed to go into one of these cables, so I plugged this to the pins section here. And now I can plug in the microphone. Honestly, I expected the label on one of these cables to have something like mic because the previous system had that. But I didn't see that. I saw this label, which didn't make sense to me. But anyhow, this just felt like the obvious place the mic cable could plug into. Interestingly, the new infotainment system also comes with a microphone set, which I could route somehow to a place closest to my mouth for cleaner audio. For example, mounting it close to the steering wheels. This felt like a lot of work, and I just concluded that I would use the existing microphone setup in the car. I don't have the video for this particular section, but after adding the microphone, I tested the system, paired my phone for CarPlay, and tried to call my wife. The microphone audio was clear clear enough for her to hear me, so at least I knew the car's microphone was okay. Next thing I did was to add the two USB cables that came with the package. One of them is a 6-pins connection and the other 4 pins. I'm not really sure the difference and when to use which, but I'll do more research on them. I passed the USB cables to the glove box for now. In the future, I'll ensure they are more organized and clearly arranged, but I just have hanging cables in the glove box. The last cable left is the GPS. The new system came with the GPS cable as well, but since the car had an existing one which fitted perfectly, I just used that. Now, from all the pictures I took earlier, I saw that there is this other cable left which is supposed to give power to a USB I have at the armrest box. Unfortunately, the new system did not come with any compatible connection for that, so for now this USB at the armrest will not work. In the future, I'll look for a solution for that. So that's all about it with the cables and connections. So I added the screen back to the area. You just need to push a bit for the plastic connectors to click. I tested the system again and it came on fine, but one thing I noticed was that the steering wheel controls was not working. I tried increasing the volume and nothing showed up on the screen. This scared me a bit, but after scrolling on the system, I found the SWC menu. This is where you can connect the controls to different actions. So I select an action, hold down the button that I want to associate the action with, and it becomes connected. So I did this for all the buttons that I had on the left side of my wheels. What's left now is the airflow control. In the previous system, the airflow control was connected differently than the infotainment system. But in this new infotainment package, the frame where you put the system is also where you put the airflow controls. So I had to remove the system again to add the control. First, I removed the control from the previous frame. There are some connectors here that you can easily disconnect. Then I added it to the new frame. The new frame has the same connectors for airflow, so that was straightforward. And then I placed the system back. Now the last part of all of this is the warning light box, which I expected would be easy to add just as it was easy to remove, but that was not the case. So after a lot of trying, I had to remove the system again, then add the warning light box, connect the cable to the box, and put the system back. And everything was now good. I tested CarPlay again, tested the sound, and everything worked fine. I used my wife's Android to also test Android Auto, and that worked fine as well. And yeah, that was the whole process. I've been using this for the last couple of days and I haven't noticed anything that I might have missed. Everything is working as fine as they were before, just that I now have a better infotainment system.